able to drive in the city where there's a very challenging situation. And of course, Bloomberg pointed out yesterday that there's crash testing driverless cars are going to be used in a robot city. You can find this article up on the Drudge Report as well. And they're talking about a particular scenario. Let's say you got a mother pushing a baby carriage across a busy city street. And all of a sudden, will the car stop in time? Well, they say this is going to be done in this city that they're building. The robot and the baby carriage will be robotic. There'll be programmed obstacles that will be thrown at these cars to see if they can navigate this. This is M-City, coming just outside of Detroit at the University of Michigan. It's soon to be open. It's a 23-acre mini metropolis. It's going to open this summer on July 20th. And they talk about the fact that this is where they are going to test navigating under all the different things that can happen in a city environment. Again, talking about Google's self-driving car, I don't know if you've seen this thing, but it's got, like, instead of headlights, it's because it doesn't need headlights, it doesn't have a steering wheel. It doesn't have a brake. So it doesn't need headlights. You're just an occupant. You're just along for the ride. And so they paint this clown face on it nevertheless. The headlights are really kind of painted on eyes. And as I mentioned before, I would not only be afraid, there's a picture of it if you're watching this, I would not only be afraid to ride in that thing, I would be absolutely embarrassed. It's kind of like the automotive equivalent of the cone of shame. You know, when you put that on, that vet cone on the dog, you know, they're both apprehensive and they look very embarrassed. That's the way I would feel on one of these things because, you know, the future for me would be absolute living hell if I've got to go around, as they describe this, Google's self-driving Priuses equipped with laser radar saucers on their roofs. Come on. I mean, one of the few real things I ever get to do anymore, I work so much on computers, sitting at a desk all the time, one of the few real things I get to do is to get out in the 3D world, not looking at a television screen, put the steering wheel in one hand, the stick shift in the other, both of my feet on the pedals, and go. I love that. That's real. That's being in the real world. I don't want that taken away from me. But even more than that, I don't want to lose control of my ability to travel. And that goes back to why DARPA had their very first challenges were robotics challenges. Because from the very beginning, our government understands that in order to control us, they need the control point of transportation. It isn't just enough to watch everything that we're doing in the virtual world. They want to control where and when and know where we're going in the real world. We also need to look at this and ask who, now this is a question that Warren Buffett was talking about because he owns a lot of insurance companies. He says, I may be out of the insurance business. Well, you know, maybe you will, maybe you won't. We started kicking that around and back, and Joe Biggs and I were talking about the vaccine court where you don't get to sue the vaccine companies because there were so many people that were injured with vaccines that they took the public's right to sue to get compensation from these companies. They took that away and handed it over to this kangaroo court called the vaccine court that allocates judgments. That is essentially what you're going to wind up having to do with these autonomous cars because let me tell you, even though they want to say that they're going to be perfectly safe, they're still going to have errors. They're still programmed by people. They're not going to be perfect. As a matter of fact, a lot of people may remember all of these different car manufacturers. You've had Audi and many other car manufacturers have issues with runaway cars, runaway acceleration. Remember that? Remember those lawsuits? They were kept pretty quiet. There were actually a lot of car manufacturers that were involved in that, and that's just one of the subsystems of an autonomous driving car. There were a lot of lawsuits about that, but of course, that was kind of swept under the rug. You didn't hear too much about it. You're not hearing too much about this in the United States, although the BBC reported on this. Chrysler's just been ordered to pay $149 million for one death in a Jeep crash. Now, this is a U.S. jury has awarded $150 million to the family of a 4-year-old boy that died in a crash involving a Jeep Grand Cherokee in 2012. He died after the Jeep was struck from behind by a truck. It ruptured the rear fuel tank, caused it to ignite. In 2013, Chrysler recalled 1.5 million Jeep SUVs built between 1993 and 98 with similar rear fuel tanks. And of course, those of you who are older will remember the Ford Pinto was notorious for having an exploding gas tank when hit from the rear. So when something like that happens, or when you've got the navigation system drives somebody off of a bridge or into a river and kills them, you're not going to be able to withstand, if you're the automotive companies, you're not going to be able to withstand multiple judgments of this size. So they're going to have to come up with something like the vaccine court. And let me tell you something, they absolutely will, because the government wants this so badly. They're always looking for a way to control us. And one of the key ways that they have to control us is to control our movement. That's what the TSA is about. The TSA is about getting us accustomed to living in a police state, in a Nazi state. You know, give me your identity papers. You know, stand over here. Even the Nazis didn't go into the pants of little children, as far as I can tell, looking at history. But of course, the TSA does. And that's what this is about, but it's also about establishing control points and making sure we don't move that easily. And again, we just learned that, remember, it was a conspiracy theory that the DHS wanted to get everybody's license plates and set up a tracking system? We published that, they dropped it, now they're back. Washington Post reports, Drudge has linked up. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Communist China freely allows the sale of bulletproof armor plates, while our U.S. politicians argue from banning Americans from owning body armor.
Does that sound right to you?
Arm your American body at InfidelBodyArmor.com. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.
Hi, Ted Anderson with Midas Resources. Is it time to convert paper 401ks and IRAs to solid gold and silver yet? Get our 10 Reasons book free. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
Hey, Boomer! I learned in school today that 60% of our bodies are made of water. Good thing we have the Berkey system. It's the cleanest, best water ever. Mom says it's because the Berkey's filtration system cleans out the bad stuff and leaves only pure, delicious water. I know, right? You love it too. Yeah, I'm thirsty too. Let's go get some. Get Berkey clean water by calling 877-886-3653. That's 877-886-3653. Or visit GoBerkey.com.
Hi, folks. Alex Jones here with some important information. I want to tell you about Matt Redhawk and his team of patriots over at My Patriot Supply. Several years ago, Matt was sitting in his two-bedroom apartment, frustrated with the direction this country was headed and the charlatans willing to sell us out for a quick buck. Deciding to take action, a company run by patriots for patriots was born. My Patriot Supply has never taken a loan or accepted outside funding. They now operate 2 distribution facilities and employ over 50 hardworking American men and women. It is rare to find companies who practice what they preach. And that's why I stock my pantry with high-quality storable foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Alex today for special offers on emergency food storage, or call their preparedness specialist at 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Do business with someone who shares your values. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex.
Usually, the older one gets, the less you are able to absorb amino acids and the less you are able to repair the 100 trillion cells of your body. As a result, you'll have less energy, your tissues will shrink, and you'll become wrinkled. An older person will typically injure more easily and heal more slowly. Not fun. However, if you can consume a protein powder that is easier to absorb, then you may be able to gain back some strength, muscle, and speed of recovery. One World Whey is a highly digestible whey protein powder that may be the perfect answer for you.
My name is Errol. I'm 74 years old. You know, the taste of One World Whey is amazing. I play pickleball, and since taking One World Whey and your trace mineral supplement, I have more energy and recover faster from my working out. I used to take another grass-fed whey protein powder, but now I'm getting much better results using One World Whey.
Call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit oneworldway.com.
Welcome back. I'm David Knight on the Alex Jones Show. Alex is going to be back in the beginning of the next hour. And in the next hour, he's going to be talking to the author of Robopocalypse. This is a story that's been eagerly awaited in movie form. The rights were sold to Steven Spielberg quite some time ago. A couple of times he's had it cast. And so I guess that's one of the things Alex will talk to him about, as to try to get some ideas, see if he's got any ideas to when this movie will be made, because it should be a very fascinating movie. I've read most of the book, not all of it. We're listening to it as an audiobook with my family, and people started going separate ways, and so we were waiting for different people, so we didn't quite finish the end of it. But it's a fascinating book, I think, because it raises the issues that we're looking at on a daily basis now. It's no longer distant ideas that we're going to have all these subsystems that are automated and could become malevolent if connected together. Now, of course, in the book, the malevolent central control is from a piece of AI, it's from a computer that becomes self-aware and starts going after humans. What you need to understand is that we don't need to wait for the artificial intelligence to become self-aware, okay? We already have politicians and global elitists who are AI themselves, artificial integrity. They're telling us they take an oath to the Constitution, or they say one thing in public, but they have an agenda to basically control us, to take us down. As I said before, the future, they say, doesn't need us. They say this over and over again. But in their future, they not only don't need us, but they must control us or eliminate us. That's the decision that the computer weighs in Robopocalypse and decides to eliminate the people. And of course, there are many signs that that's what the elite choose to do. When you turn over all this information, when you give control of your movements to the government, when they're allowed to track your movements, when they're allowed to deny you being able to move places, and don't for a minute think that they won't do this. They can instantly do an audit and see if you owe them any money. You're not going to go anywhere if you can't pay off all of your tax bills or if you're behind in your student loan. We've already seen jurisdictions threatening to take the licenses of professionals who haven't paid their student loan. You're not going to even be able to work if you don't pay your student loan off, if you get behind on your student loan. Well, they're going to use that for people who aren't professionals, who don't have licenses. If you're just flipping burgers and you owe the government some loan money or you owe them taxes, they're going to lock you down. It's going to be a high-tech debtor's prison without walls, essentially. And we can see that this is going to happen. When they got this story that is on Washington Post, it's on Drudge. A year after the firestorm, DHS wants access to license plate tracking systems. And they say the Department of Homeland Security is seeking bids from companies that are able to provide law enforcement officials with access to a national license plate tracking system, a year after canceling a similar solicitation over privacy issues. Remember? They said, oh, no, you just completely misunderstood. We have no interest in following you. You know, just like James Clapper. Remember when Ron Wyden said, are you doing dragnet surveillance? I'm paraphrasing it here. You know, and Clapper says, oh, well, you know, he looked down, he rubbed his forehead. He could not look Ron Wyden in the eye. He couldn't look the staffers in the eye. They all knew that he was. It was classified information, so they couldn't say so. That's why he asked Clapper the question so that he could put that out there. And, of course, Clapper chose, again, not to tell us the truth. Artificial integrity. They say if this goes forward, DHS will have warrantless access to location information going back at least 5 years about virtually every adult driver in the U.S., sometimes to their image as well. Now, look, license plate readers and accessing this database, that is very, very clunky technology compared to real-time monitoring, real-time tracking, being able to shut your car down because your car is computer-controlled and linked to the government. That is where we're headed. That's what we should be afraid of. Stay with us. We'll be right back, and we'll be talking to the author of Robopocalypse with Alex Jones the next hour.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Introducing Secret 12, the new InfoWars Life vitamin B12 formulation. Secret 12 is a binary of NutraMedical-grade, bioavailable coenzyme forms of B12, methylcobalamin, the same kind used in B12 injections, and adenosylcobalamin. Secret 12 is simply taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Secure your revolutionary Secret 12 formula right now at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.